Get the microphone over here. What do you think? All right, folks. So we had the big announcement. And now we've all sat around watching all the videos everybody's produced. So today, let's just talk about what we learned through the videos. And as the description says, I found a lot of reviews from people that are inaccurate. I don't know why. I mean, there was a little bit of confusion early on when the camera was announced, and some of the reviewers, people that had it in their hands, really didn't know exactly what it could do, couldn't do. And in the videos, we learned about the CF Express cards. You definitely need something that reads at least, I think it's their recommended rate, not reads, but writes at 1,300 megabits a second. I think it's 13 or 1,400. So I've got a long line of videos up here from different people. I'm going to put that in the background here in a minute. But before we do, as I asked in the description, who's going to get this camera? I know it seems like we had four people waiting, and then they see my ugly face and they take off. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So anyway, while I wait, I was over on Canon Rumors, ghosting, and just looking at what the forum members thought about the announcement of the Z9. For the most part, it was actually pretty favorable. You had a lot of young guys in there that have no idea the history of Canon or Nikon or anything else. I think their history starts with mirrorless, and that's about all they know. And they were very defensive in saying that Nikon isn't going to make a big splash with this camera. And you can always tell somebody that's being defensive when they say, wait till. That seems to be the way to support your brand. It's always wait till. So now it's the wait till the R1 comes out. And there's no doubt in my mind the R1 is going to be a great camera. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The R3 is a great camera. It may not do and check all the blocks and be the all-arounder that the Z9 is, at least from what we know right now. But it's still a great camera. No problems there. And there were, of course, which is strange, you've got a few Sony, they're not trolls. I guess maybe they switched from Canon to Sony, or they bought into Sony along with their Canon bodies. And I think they were more vocal than some of the Canon shooters. You could tell those that are mature Canon shooters. I mean, they've been in the brand for a long time, and they were pretty much, saying that's great. It's really nice that Nikon has come this far in a short amount of time. They really like the Z9. Some of them really like the Z9. And there were a few, I won't say a lot, but there were a few that were talking about they may decide to jump back over to Nikon. They were previous Nikon shooters. I didn't see anybody making a comment that had been embedded in Canon say they were going to jump over, but some of those guys did say it was interesting and they might consider it. So I thought it was real interesting. It was pretty positive overall. A lot of people out there quoting some of the, oh, sorry. Yes, sir, I can. How about that? Is that better? A lot of the people out there that watch the videos, and let's face it, when the R1 comes out, I'm not going to go and watch every video that's out for those that had pre-production models and talking about it. But I'm not worried about it because I'm not interested in it. But I'm not going to jump over on forums and say, it's a piece of junk and so said this. Because again, going back to those that had the pre-production models, I'm not so sure that again, that they were very confident with the camera. It's nice that there were Nikon reps with them whenever they were using the camera and doing their reviews and things like that. And that did help out a lot. But there's still a lot left to get used to. All the AF settings and tracking settings, and you're just going to have to play with it to really get it to work the way you want it, to function the way you want it to function as far as AF and tracking go. Did learn that from the multiple videos that were out there. So really happy about that. Hey, Mike, good. Thanks for letting me know about the audio. So, there's always that fear when your brand or a brand that you shoot, I shouldn't say your brand, but the brand that you're familiar with and that you're shooting and you want to stick with, all the announcements come out, but how will it perform? And this time, I must say, from my opinion is it lived up to the hype. I think it's just a fantastic camera. Can't wait to get my hands on it. Really looking forward to it. Um, and again, I've learned a lot watching all the different videos, and where one lacked in knowledge about something, another might have that knowledge that they shared. So it's looking real good. The video looks fantastic. Even Jordan over at DP Review, he said he loves it. So, I mean, I'm sure there are a couple of things or a few things or whatever that he'd like to be different, but overall, he said, yeah, he loves it. So that's a big step forward because he's pretty particular about video. And I'm skipping right over Fro. That poor guy. His personality is just one of those angry people, recluse maybe. I don't know, but and I'm not going to take away from his knowledge or his ability to review, but I hate him niggling on things that are just ridiculous, and he won't do it to other brands. And he swears that's not the case, but sorry, that's just the way we see it. Maybe we see it with a tainted eye. I don't know, but I just don't like his whole personality thing, and that's fine. That's who he is, and that's what he does, and he's done well with it. But several other people, there are a lot of new shooters that have popped up that had this camera in their hands, and it's been interesting to see them and what they've produced with it. So Rishi, of course, fantastic review for the camera body. Another one for the 1 to 400. Another one for the 24 to 120. And he just dropped another video, and he's going to try to clear up the frame rate uh, issue because so many people, and that's one of the things over in the Canon forum. They picked up one guy that didn't understand it, didn't know about the CF Express cards, and he just, he went on a rant talking about how the camera was, it's just worthless or not worthless, but it didn't live up to the hype. Nikon lied, and everybody needs to beware. Blah 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 without any idea what he was talking about. And that's typical of people that are just fanboys to the max and they're going to defend everything. All they need is one review and they're not going to watch another one if that one was negative enough. But for the most part, I think most of the reviews did well. Again, some of the things they weren't familiar with, and as time goes on, there will be more reviews, obviously, especially when it gets out in the field and it gets in the average Joe's hands. So, looking forward to that. So, what do you guys think? I mean, from all the videos that you've seen, if you've watched any, what sticks out in your mind as being something that really spoke to you about the camera? Again, for me, I, it's just the all arounder. It's the one camera that does it all. For me, I'm not saying for everybody, but for me, it's the one camera that does it all. And I'm really looking forward to having it in the arsenal and the 1 to 400. But I'm not so sure I'll have that anytime soon. I don't know where I am on that waiting list. But both the camera and the lenses, I think, are going to be out of stock for a long time to come. And there's going to be a lot of griping in the Nikon forums about how Nikon screwed the pooch and they can never deliver and everything else. That has nothing. The inability to be able to deliver has nothing to do with Nikon just sitting on their laurels and not doing anything about it. Of course, we've got several things, several things that are impacting not just cameras but all electronics, and that's the chip issue and the logistics. Worldwide logistics is just a nightmare right now. So those two are definitely going to be part of the wait for the camera and the lens. I would like to say to those anybody that's been on Nikon rumors, which I love going over there. Peter does a great job with his rumors. He's just got a hit rate that's phenomenal. But some of the forum members, I remember all I heard was, well, I don't care because it's not a camera for everybody. It's It's not going to sell that well because it's a flagship and flagships don't sell that well. I don't know where they get their data from. I'd like to see it. I wish they would just post it somewhere so we could all go look at where they get this data from and their ability to see ahead that a camera won't sell very well. I think on the contrary, I think this camera is definitely going to sell well. It's going to sell down, meaning there are people, and we talked about this in one of the other live streams. It's going to sell to people that were never ever considering it because of the cost. But now, with the capability of this camera and coming in at the price point it's at, there are already some people talking about, well, I'm going to have to stretch my. There are a couple of videos of people that have made their own video talking about, yep, I'm going to get it. And no, I wasn't in the market for it. It's more than I had planned to spend, but I'm going to make it happen. And that tells you something about a camera when people are willing to break their budget or had no desire for a flagship, and all of a sudden, here it comes. So what you got there, Mike? I think the photographer's bought the farm and lenses. We either with either Canon or Nikon or Sony. That might determine what's going to happen. Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think we can use that statement anymore. Somebody's deeply embedded in a brand, and there's no way they can. That first of all, don't ever say there's no way. I can think of one example where somebody just it was a big Nikon shooter, and just overnight jumped to Canon. So I know it happens. Scott Kelby, he was a big Nikon guy, and just overnight decided that's it. I'm jumping to Canon. I have no idea how that happened. I have suspicion that maybe Canon helped him by doing a direct swap. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I've seen a video about a lady, one of the ambassadors, that had lost her equipment. Nikon just walked in and said, "Here you go, use that, take it, it's yours, use it." So what I'm saying is it's not. Don't ever think that just because somebody's deeply embedded in glass in one brand or another, that they won't jump over to another brand. Especially now that we're going from you got digital, or not digital, but mirrorless, and you've got DSLRs. And it may be easier now if somebody wanted to switch to move the DSLR equipment off and sell it and jump into the mirrorless in another brand. So I don't know. I do believe though that the Z9 is going to be out of control. The sales on that, and time will tell who's right, who's wrong. But I think the sales are going to be a lot higher. I think Nikon knew that. I think they knew that before they priced it. So I expect that they're going to do a larger or what, quicker production run than they typically would on the flagship. We'll see. We'll see. Everybody's anxiously awaiting for the first shipment. B&H is the only one that has a time frame on their website, and they anticipated it will be available by December 15th. So I don't know. I hope they're right. I hope they're right. But it wouldn't hurt my feelings if it was a little bit sooner. So Terry, how you doing, man? Tom Hogan kind of took on Fro and the Sony influencer crowd. I saw that, but I don't know why I can't find that. I I saw your message, but I can't. Well, I say I saw the notification for your message, but I can't find that message anywhere. So you want to drop it in here? That would be great, and everybody else may want to go check it out as well. Yeah. Good morning. You're over on the West Coast. That's right. Oh, so I'm going to, here we go. Here's the big test. I have just, the audio for the video feed in the background has driven me absolutely crazy. And the short of it is finally, I came upon a solution. The Rodecaster Pro has a Bluetooth connection. So I connected the Rodecaster Pro to the laptop that's feeding the video, and it sounds great. It sounds great, but it buffers like there's no tomorrow. And I'm thinking, why is that? Is that laptop just that old and it just can't support Bluetooth and streaming video or whatever? So I have a Airport Express, the Apple, or yeah, Apple Airport Express that I used to carry with me when I was traveling because it made a little more secure connection and it provided internet within the hotel rooms and all that. Blah, blah, blah. Got it connected. Bam, there it is. So I think I even did a test, did a couple of videos, private videos, just to see if it works. So we're going to find out here in a second. I want to see if you guys can hear it. Really excited for the future of Nikon. Can't wait for the next semi-pro body. Absolutely, Mike. That's going to be the big one. I really believe Nikon would have had the dual announcement if they could have. I think that the next version of the Z7, and I don't know, it may not be called the Z7. A lot of people are saying Z7 III, Z6 III. I don't know what it's called, but I think they're big in not production, but R&D on that camera. I think if they could have brought that to the market at the same time, I really believe they would have. And oh man, what if they had? Woo, man, the Z9 is enough, but to bring that out too, man, that would have been fantastic. And a D500 mirrorless. We laughed and joked about it, calling it the Z900. Don't know what they'll call it, but there's a good chance we'll see that down the road. And I know everybody's anxiously awaiting. So am I. I want to see what it is. And again, it's not about just beating everybody. I don't want to beat Canon. I don't want to beat Sony, the corporations. I could care less because we're going to do that back and forth, the cat and mouse, the little leapfrog thing. Every couple of years or every year, a couple of years, somebody's going to find another trick, and that's going to up the game even more. Even a lot of the Canon folks over on Canon Rumors were saying the same thing. Don't look at it negatively, look at it positively because it's going to push Canon to, up their game and so on and so forth. So it's a great thing. But I think at that, I think with the Z900 or whatever it's going to be called, had we been able to get that and the Z8, let's just call it Z8. If we could get all that within a few months, then Nikon just walks right back into the market as if they'd been here all or not been here all along, but been in the mirrorless market as long as Sony. Nothing against Sony, but it's taken them many iterations to get where they're at. And the big two, Canon and Nikon, it didn't take them long to catch up and exceed. So there we are. Sony people, let's see. How about Tony and Chelsea? I don't, what's the deal? I haven't heard anything from Tony since his big, put his foot in his mouth the day before the announcement and was wrong on so many things about so many things. So, but I haven't heard anything yet. I'll tell you somebody else I haven't heard from since the announcement either is, Matt, what's his name? Down under. I haven't heard anything from him either. I don't know if he's putting together a big video for this or not. I don't know. All right, you're going to drop the link here? Yeah. Yeah, Terry. That way, anybody that wants to go check it out can, and I'm definitely going to do it. Has anybody seen Rishi's new Rishi's new video on frames per second? I've got it queued up here. If you guys want to watch, I'll drop it in the background. You can tell me whether I failed or not on the audio. All right. Here we go. All right, Mr. Rishi.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the Z9 and the Z9 buffer. There's a lot of confusion.
Please tell me you can hear it.
And I just want to make sure that everything's nice and clear. I'm going to talk you through all the different options, the file formats, different memory cards, and so on. First of all, I would just really like to say thank you so much for all the support and the comments, the likes, and everything that I got on my first Z9 video. If you've not watched that already, lots of people like it. So please do. If you haven't watched that, I might put a link for it up here or something. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about buffer rates because that is the biggest question I continually got. I've looked at all the comments. I've not replied to all of them yet. I will make my way through them as I can. But the biggest comment that kept coming through and coming through and coming through was around buffer rates. And I appreciate that there's some confusion out there as to what is going on with the buffer and what's going on with the different options that you have in the Z9. So I'm going to switch positions. I'm going to set my camera up behind my Z9, give you a wide enough view so you can see what cards I'm putting in the card slot, and then obviously show you what's happening on the back of this camera screen as well. And hopefully, as I'm talking you through those different processes, it really irons out all the confusion. So let's jump over to the back of the camera. Obviously, please do keep in mind that before we jump into this as well, this is still pre-production, but I want to try and explain to you guys what people were getting confused about. Okay,
I think some people wanted to be confused.
Z9 here, as you can see. The Z9 has got a 50mm 1.2 on the front of it. As you can see that I'm at 1.2. I'm then recording that on a Z6 II with a 50mm macro. So hopefully the setup makes sense. In front of my Z9, I've then also got a color checker. So just to obviously work as my subject. The biggest thing that a lot of people get confused about was this 30 frames buffer size. Like you take 30 shots and then your buffer fills. So I get it. I can figure out where that comes from and what might cause that situation to happen. So that generally revolves around using an XQD card. So if I was to use an XQD card, say a 64 gig version here, this has got a write speed of 400 megabytes. Now that's the important bit. I'm never really interested in read speeds, and a lot of memory cards do just put their read speeds on them. Some cards don't put their write speeds on them. What's also really important is your consistent write speed as well, because there's a lot of cards that might have a peak of a write speed, and then over time that write speed will drop down, and that can make a huge difference for continuous shooting when it
some
comes
cards
to
won't tell you
you're shooting with. Just to give you guys an idea, let's just jump into the photo shooting menu and show you that I'm in RAW. So I'm just doing RAW. I'm not doing RAW or JPEG or anything like that. I'm just doing a RAW file. My image size is large. I can't change that because you can only change the image size when it comes to JPEGs. And my RAW recording is set to lossless. I'm not in high efficiency and I'm not in the high efficiency star. So I'm going to press OK on lossless. Just double check we are in lossless. I'm not going to change that until I tell you. I'm not doing anything with slot 2. This is just a one card in slot 1. And everything else should be good. So let's just jump back out of there. Now let's just pop in my XQD card. So just so you guys are clear, 64 gig XQD goes in the slot. Close the door. Just go and format that just to be double safe. So I'm just going to format that card, slot 1, yes. There we go. Okay, so let's go back to shooting. So when I half press the shutter, you can see that it says a remaining of 20 frames. That just shows you how many frames your camera has left in your buffer. I'm just going to increase my shutter speed here. Okay, so I've got a couple of extra frames there, but if we look at that, that clearly says 33 frames. So even if we downscale that down to 30, this is where this number comes from. If you're using an XQD card, if you're shooting lossless compressed and you're shooting at 20 frames per second, this is where that 30 frames comes from. How do we change that? So then let's change the quality of the RAW file. So let's go back into our photo shooting menu. I go to, instead of lossless compressed, which we've been on ever since I turned it to lossless compressed, I'm now going to change that back to high efficiency with a star. Let's format again.
This is a real B&H customer story.
Sorry.
Okay, we checked all 4 systems and keying was a go.
B&H wheel.
There we go. Okay, a couple of frames over, but we get 52. So high efficiency, 20 frames per second, we get 52 shots. If I go to high efficiency, just format the card again. And we're done. 82. So if you're using this camera with an XQD card, even in high efficiency, this comes back to what I said in my first video around using this camera with XQD cards isn't going to give you what you expect. Okay. So let's have a look at some CF Express cards. I also just want to explain that not all CF Express cards are the same. Because I've got two CF Express cards. So a Delkin black card and I've got a Lexar Professional Gold card as well. So this gold Lexar Professional CF Express card, it does have its read speed written on it at 1,750, but it does not have its write speed written on it. Now, from what I can find online, these have a write of about 1,000 megabytes as a peak. So let's try this Lexar card next. So I'm going to pop that in the slot. Let's just make sure that's formatted. There we go. And then let's just reset all of our other settings. So I'm going to go back to my photo shooting menu. I'm in RAW, and my RAW quality is going to go back to lossless. So I'm in lossless compressed. I'm at 20 frames per second. Okay. So this is CF Express Lexar. At 61 frames. So versus XQD, XQD was giving us 30 to 33 frames. CF Express Lexar was giving us 61 frames. Do that again. Let's go for another format. .62 that time, but I obviously had a little bit of extra frames there after the buffer hit the end of the buffer. So we're getting a consistent 60 to 62 frames, right? So we've gone from 30 to 60 already just by going to a medium speed CF Express card at 20 frames per second. So if I now change that to high efficiency with a star and format. There we go.
Gotta love that sound.
$182. A couple of frames over, but generally in the ballpark of 170 to 180 frames. If I then change that to high efficiency, I'm not really going to show you this because it's a bit pointless. I don't really want to waste your time, but it will just keep shooting. So this is the fastest card that I've been able to find. And this is the card that I will be using in my Z9. I've got multiples of them. I bought quite a few. I bought quite a few when I realized how good these are. So these are the cards that I'll be using.
About 3 months ago.
Put in our Delkin Black. Door shut, camera on. Just do a format. There we go. So let's just make sure that we are in lossless. So lossless compressed, image quality raw, we're good to go. 20 frames per second, here we go. Okay, so I've got a couple of extra frames there, but you can see we're now up to 81. So we're lossless compressed, Delkin Black, 81 frames, a couple of extra frames maybe on top of that once we hit that buffer, but that still takes us to say 78, in the ballpark of 70, 80, right? So it's entirely up to you how you want to interpret that. But we can clearly see that not all CF Express cards are equal. We've gone from 30, 60 to 80 just by swapping out the memory card, all within lossless compressed. If I change that to high efficiency, and I'm just going to do a format. So let's do format, memory card. There we go. So I change that to high efficiency. Just double check that I did that. Yeah, there we go. So high efficiency with the star. this thing's just going to shoot forever now.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we had a break there, and that is 1,137 frames in high efficiency star with a Delkin black.
Man.
Nikon's own numbers are over 1,000 frames with a pro grade cobalt in high efficiency. So the Delkin black is even getting those 1,000 frames with just high efficiency star, even giving you better quality. High efficiency Delkin black at 3/20th of a second.
Yeah, Mike, everybody needs to see this. At least it helps you to shop for cards.
Grammarly helps you work more efficiently, which makes a
All right, let me pause it for a second. I don't want to keep this thing going if you guys don't want to watch it. I hadn't seen it. I just saw it right before I went live and thought I'd throw it up here. Yeah, I think that one of the nice things is Rissy's had this camera for so long. 3 months doesn't seem long, but I mean that's a long time for to have a pre-production and be able to go over it. So obviously he knows the camera pretty well, and I really appreciate the fact that he's got several different cards, brands, and write speeds. The key thing there obviously is, and I'm sure everybody knows this, but just in case there's somebody drops by or sees it and they don't realize it, the cards, they don't lie. They just don't give you all the information, the card makers. The big thing is the sustained write speed. And I found that out with the D5 and everything else shooting, and even the D850, especially the D850, really, shooting with cheap XQD cards. So I've been playing with XQD cards for a while. So I kind of learned this the hard way and wound up buying more expensive or better XQD cards. And everything, it really helped out clearing the buffer. So it's the write speed on the card and the sustained write speed. Some will say 1700 megabits per second. Some will say 1700, but if they will provide the sustained write speed, it may be something like 400. I saw one card. I've already been researching B&H and all the other places. I found one card that had a write speed of 1730 or so, I don't know what it was. And but the sustained speed, and I didn't get that from the ad or the write up on the site on B&H. It was somebody had made the comment, or the actual write speed or sustained write speed is 400. So it's just something you got to watch out for. I guess the cobalt cards, and I know most people know that because it's already been brought up, but the cobalt, pro grade cobalt, seem to be the best there are right now. So, yep, I'm going to invest in at least a couple of them to get started. But and if you don't care about firing off over 1,000 shots, then it really doesn't matter. So there is the opportunity to use the camera with the slower XQD cards. Now, I don't know if he's going to cover video, but I don't know how this is all going to work out for video, 8K, especially 8K60. So if you guys want to continue, I'll put it back on there. I haven't seen it yet, so it's really helping me out. And we can still chat in the background. So without an objection,
accomplishing your work goals easier.
thank you.
It's all live, still going. We're still shooting. Okay. And we're not even slowing down the buffer number here. That's just still sticking at 14. So this is what I mean. It would just I'm just going to stop now because it just takes forever. So that was 2,000. One other thing I'd really like to highlight as well, which you may have seen, is how quickly the buffer clears. So if I show you, that's 81 shots and the buffer's just cleared. So in the time it took me to press the playback button, the buffer cleared. So 81 shots. Let's try that again. Cleared. 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 So the buffer clears, like it's ready to go again and again and again. And even if you did just want to ignore that, like if you burst fire instead of holding your finger down, you could easily just burst fire if you wanted to. I've taken 700 shots there. So realistically, final message from me is that yes, you have to use the faster cards. And unfortunately, not every CF Express card is the same. You have to use fast CF Express cards. Otherwise, you're just not going to get the performance that you want and the consistent performance that you want. That's where other CF Express cards can let you down. There's only a few that can keep up with that performance. This obviously also brings up questions around high efficiency and high efficiency star and the quality loss. Obviously, everyone knows that lossless compressed is that highest quality. Now, I have seen things from Nikon that say that high efficiency star is imperceivable. Like you can't see the differences in the change in the quality from lossless compressed to high efficiency star. And then when you get to high efficiency, you can see differences in the pitch quality loss. I will be doing a full video on this. I do have access to the raw files. I have software that can read the raw files. I've had that for a long time. So I'm going to make a separate video around lossless compressed versus high efficiency star versus high efficiency, dynamic range, noise performance, overall sharpness, all those types of things. And if we are in a situation where high efficiency star is as good as lossless compressed, then also all of these problems just disappear because the buffer with high efficiency star is massive. So I'm well aware that the actual format and people being confused around lossless compressed and high efficiency star is adding to that confusion as well. So I will do that in a separate video. Some of you may have saw that I had a post on Instagram about different memory cards. I didn't want to show you testing all the memory cards in this video because I just wanted to show you about buffers in it.
The truth is that Hollywood's elite actors can get ripped while adding 12, 15, even 20
in this video. But if you saw that I had access to, first of all, a SanDisk. So when it comes to CF Express SanDisk cards, you have to make sure that their write is 1,400 megabits per second at least. If it's not, you're going to be in that same situation where you don't have a fast enough CF Express card. So if it's a SanDisk with a write of 1,200 megabits per second, that's not fast enough. If you've got a tough Sony CF Express card that has a write of 1,480 megabits per second, they are great. Highly recommend those. If you've got a Delkin Black, that's the best card I can find, not only for speed, but also for temperature. It's the best card I can find for temperature. It doesn't get hot, no matter what I do to it. I then tried Angel Birds. Now, I'm not going to comment too much on Angel Bird cards because the cards I was using gave me lower performance than I was expecting. So I'm going to try and see if I can reach out to Angel Bird about that. But the Angel Bird cards I was using weren't great. So I want to, but that's, you know, that could just be those memory cards. It could have been something. So I really want to go back to that and test that again. So keep an eye out for those Angel Bird tests. So overall, pro-grade Cobalt are great. Delkin Blacks are great. The Sony Tough cards, great. SanDisk, great as long as it's got that 1,400 megabits per second written on it. If not, then it's good, but not great. Lexars, okay. Their temperature is my biggest concern. They get really hot. So that's my biggest concern about their temperature, really. And then XQD cards are not recommended, personally. That's my personal recommendation, not obviously Nikon's recommendation, but you can use XQD cards if you're a landscape photographer or you shoot like single frame. So the way I see this is there's two ways you can look at this. Either you look at it from the point of view that Nikon have used a purposefully small buffer, and therefore if you're a photographer that uses older XQD cards, you can't get the best out of a Z9. That might be one way of looking at it. Or you look at it another way and you say that the Nikon Z9, Nikon relied on faster cards. And if you're buying a newer camera, there is an expectation that you also might want to upgrade your memory cards. And this kind of goes back to the point of what I spoke about in my first video, which is that to get the best out of the Z9, you do really need those faster cards. And the impression that I have is that they've really designed this for future CF Express cards. We are around the corner from even faster CF Express cards. There are other cards coming out next year that are going to be even faster again. So I don't think it is a problem. I think the only scenario where it is a problem is if you're using an X2D card.
All right, Rich, thank you very much, buddy. So I hadn't seen that yet, but that definitely provides a lot of information, especially for those that are looking for the Z9. They're gonna buy the Z9. It's pretty important now to start looking for cards because you know how that's gonna go. With everything using CF Express, not everything, but so many cameras now using CF Express, they're probably going to be in demand as well as everything else. But knowing which cards to buy, I really appreciate that he did this video. And again, hats off to Rissy. Yes, he is a Nikon employee, of course. But he always provides real good information about what makes the cameras tick. He doesn't hide anything. And so there it is. Now we have a better idea. So you run into anybody that's arguing about, it's just not going to shoot 20 frames per second or 40 frames per second. At least you're armed with a little information to explain why that it could be an issue. We knew that, but it just didn't get covered a lot. So, but it's being used against Nikon and a whole lot of reviews and a lot of people chattering in other forums. And I don't know whether they just don't want to know. They're happy they heard bad first and they're going to stick to it or what. But for us, at least we know now if you're going to go out and shop for cards. So, yeah, let's go back to delivery dates and everything else. Back to B&H is the only one, unless somebody has some information out there. And I really appreciate it. If you know of something about delivery or whatever, drop it in the comment. Let us all know. We'd love to hear something different than waiting to December, but I think that's very realistic. I don't think the production run is complete yet. Maybe it is. I don't know how many they ran in the first iteration of production on this, but I'm still certain that it's going to be more than they would typically do for the flagship cameras. So I haven't seen anybody say, "Yeah, I am definitely going to buy it." But I mean, I'm telling you, I am. Just looking down the list here. Yeah, Mike, the video is definitely something we all. It's a good reference video, especially if you're like me and you can't remember what you had for breakfast. When I am shopping for cards, if I can't remember the brand or the performance in megabits per second, it's good to go back. One thing to note, if you watch that, and he said it, and you all probably caught it too, the how fast that buffer clears. That is amazing. And I'm guessing all these things add up to where they say unstoppable. And I know they don't mean that there's nothing that can slow it down or whatever, but what other camera is doing that right now? And I'm not picking on other cameras. And this is one of the things that shows us how Nikon has jumped ahead for the moment. Others will respond, but for the moment. So anybody that's out there saying their A1 is just, they can do, no, I don't think it can. And, will the R3 be able to respond to that? And do you even need it? Before I even say that, do you really even need that? I don't know, whatever your style of shooting is. And I really honestly believe, first of all, 20 frames per second is more than enough for me. I've got another video queued up here in a minute, and they're shooting in JPEG, the 11 megapixel JPEGs at 130 frames a second. And it's a burst of about, I can't remember, I shouldn't say until I pull it up here, but it's a burst of a bird flying towards the camera. And it seems like, well, you know what? Okay, what are you going to get for 11 with 11 megapixel. Well, we shot with, for us in the Nikon camp, we shot with D3 DS D700. Even the D4 only went to, what was it, 16 megapixel. So it's, you know, it's more than enough for what you want to do as far as resolution at 11 megapixel. But I'll cue that up in a second. And if you guys want to watch it, obviously not near as long, but I hadn't seen the Rissy video, and that's definitely something that's. Do you want it 2.75 megapixels? You know what? That was a big deal. And I remember while I was in the Army, you had to go get your DA photo made every time you got promoted. And hey, how you doing, Ken? Good to see you in here. You had to go get your photo done, and when they switched to, because the Army adopted that real quick and went digital, man, it sent. It was a shockwave because we had no clue at how much resolution or how sharp and clear that photo would be, and it was from the old film days, which was fine. But man, oh man, oh man! And everybody said, make sure you're clean shaven right before you go in. So anyway, 2.75. Yep. Um, oh, buddy, sorry about you being busy with work. I'd hoped that you'd be able to break away. Let me cue this other video up real quick. Show this. You know, here's the bird and flight people for them to see, and just how impressive those files are. 11 megabit. I was really impressed. They do two things. They show the video and they run it back 3 or 4 times. It's not a video. They're just holding down the key and showing you all the frames. It's pretty amazing. And this came out of Nikon. No. Sorry, let me duck out here for a second. Here we go. Pull the sound down for a minute. Let me find it real quick so we're not watching the whole video. This is the camera store. I don't know if you guys remember, Chris and Jordan were there. I say this stuff and people are like, yeah, dummy, we know that. Maybe somebody doesn't know. And they have another Nikon ambassador in there with them. This guy's very knowledgeable as well of the camera. All right, so let's just start from the beginning, and I will. All right. Hi, how you doing, buddy? I'm glad you're in here. Yes, you missed it. I'm happy you at least got to break away for a minute. And I hope this isn't boring everybody to death, but you know, these are some of the things that I found checking out some of my mic, or you talking about the video? I'll turn it up this time. At least it's working. So these are some of the things that I found interesting, especially after traveling around in some of the forums and listening to everybody complain and say, you know, it isn't what it was hyped up to be. Well, more and more is coming out, more and more people shooting, and again, testing other features that we may not have seen early on. All right. Well, that said, I will take my ugly face off here. All right. Is it enough now, Mike? I'm going to turn my headphones down. All right. Here we go. You guys tell me if the volume's, you know, low on my mic or the video. I'll turn it up. All right. So here we go. This is the 130 frames per second, 11 megabit JPEGs. So, all right. Thanks, Thomas. All right, here we go. Well,
Okay. Watch it one more time, just because it's so magnificent. And I was a little slow. Okay.
So your framing was a little bit off near the end there, but it but that was a pretty impressive flight path there.
Yeah. Now we have 420 shots, and I would like the live audience to give us a number between 1 and 420.
Because you're claiming every shot's in focus.
Every single one.
Every shot.
So I'll have to give them a
Every
second because we
single
have a
one.
little bit of like the YouTube delay. So
Yep.
we'll give them a second. But in the meantime, why don't we have Jeff? Can you throw out a number between 1 and 420?
80.
80. Okay.
Yes.
That's easy. That's far away.
Okay, so this is 80.
And what you're seeing, so when you pull up the file, so that's an 11 megapixel JPEG, which 11 megapixels, it's obviously not the full resolution, but how many photographers do we know that are still shooting with a D700? That's 12 megapixels. So this is still really, really usable, especially if you look at it context for what a lot of the, let's say, pro sports journalists out there are needing when they just need to file their shots to their editor right away.
Okay, let's see if we got a number.
Now, was there a reason they didn't do like 60 frames a second instead, and at 20 megapixels or 24 megapixels? You went right to 11
to be honest,
at
I
120?
don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think it was a 20. Give them a 30 option, and then go big or go home. We can do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so we have Bill Cubitt. He has 333. Hi, Bill. Oh, some nice news.
Bill.
Right?
He's going near the end. He's pushing
I
it.
can't see it. Where'd it go? Okay, there it is. Whoop. Oh yeah. So that's 333. He's getting pretty close. What else we got here?
370.
Monica Deviat. Hi, Monica.
Hey, Monica's joined us.
Hey, Monica.
What number say? Oh, 13.
All right, I'm just going to
Okay.
let this
I
run
feel like I'm under so much
until they finish
pressure
this,
from
but
that.
at least you can see some of the photos to determine
Okay. I
that
like
they
that
are
one.
sharp.
Good choice, Monica.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll do like 2 more.
320.
320 from Nathaniel.
Full confidence here.
Confident, yeah.
Okay, that's 320.
So that's kind of impressive because the bird is near the top end of the frame, so it's proving like that it's focusing through the entire frame, which is very impressive.
Yep.
Okay.
And this is so what you guys, when you watch that, so that's using 3D autofocus. And what Russ brought up, which is the fact that with RZ cameras, you have 90% coverage on the horizontal and vertical. And because of that, pretty much anywhere the bird goes within the entire frame, it's able to track.
Okay, and then I skipped over my husband and Gary, but wanted to get to one more. So this is Leon's choice. What the heck? We'll go to Jordan's and Gary's too. So I will do 288. Okay, 288. There you go, Gary.
Looks pretty good.
And then Jordy Boo, 378. All right. Round of applause. Nice job, Chris. Those were Chris's photos, right?
All right, so there it is for those that doubt, and I'm not going to say I did well. I think hitting 130 frames per second, everything in focus, even at 11 megapixels, is pretty impressive. I didn't believe it would do it. I thought there would be some skipped frames, but one of the things he goes on to explain, the Nikon rep there, is that it is refocusing after every frame it takes. Can you imagine the amount of data that has to run to do that? It is refocusing every frame. Unbelievable. But proof's in the pudding. That's at 11 megapixel. Could it be useful for a lot of people? Was it, I can't remember, Mar, the sports photographer? He said, yes, it's very doable for even sports. You can find the frame that you were looking for, and the 11 megabit image is so much quicker to upload, shoot, move. And so a lot of people, he said that's a big deal right now, is being able to move being able to move the images quick. So pretty impressive at 120. I like it. I like it. So learned something about the cards today and ran across this. This is just kind of gives you a warm fuzzy about the autofocus, the tracking, and it's just phenomenal. So we'll see if everybody can have the same success with all these tracking modes and everything else. So did anybody else see any videos out there? I mean, that really speaks to the camera and its capability, or answers a question, especially for something that didn't come across well in any of the other presentations. Just watching a couple of clips, I could probably put together about 5 clips, and Fro could talk about all the things he talked about in his review. But those 5 things that I found so far, well, it's not that it's going to discount what Fro said, but you're going to understand that maybe he's talking about some things that maybe he didn't understand. He does admit, I think, in his review that it is a pre-production. He wasn't completely familiar with the camera, but he did put it through its paces. But he starts picking on little things. Now, I'll say this. Some of the little things that he brought up, I think, are great. And it would be great if that's a firmware fix before the production run, so that it gets out to, or it comes out in the first iteration, first batch. That helps us all. And big, I'm not going to stick on Fro, but I mean, Fro doesn't do that so much with other cameras. He'll let it ride. He'll mention it, and he's moving on. So, but hey, maybe this time his critique of the camera will help us all out. So I'll give him that much. All right. Yeah, I saw that, Mike. That's the other Matt. Matt Granger. Yeah, absolutely. He clarified it because there were some people that were challenging him and saying, no, it can't do it, and it doesn't do it, and it won't do it. And you were shooting in JPEG small or whatever. So he made that video showing what he had shot and how he shot. So again, answering the questions for all the people that are naysayers. There are people who are genuinely concerned. They hear somebody put out a figure or something, and they want to clarify it. They want to know, okay, is that true or not? Unfortunately, you got a lot of people out there that find these little things. Somebody puts out bad information, and this is why I hate the whole influencer crowd thing. But somebody puts out one, especially if they're, this is what we complain about all the time with, Tony and Chelsea and Jared Poland. It could be an honest mistake, or it's just trying to cripple the sales of a camera. But they put it out, and then nobody goes any further, as if these folks are the only people that are able to, or credible for, review of a camera. And that's it. Once they say it, it's gospel, and that's it. And this is what Nikon's been battling for the last few years. Some of it, yes, they did deserve, but a whole lot of it they didn't. And that's what happens is, we get a couple people, man, he said it. I don't need to go anywhere else. I got the facts. And they never, ever caveat what they say with, I'm not real familiar, or this. They do say pre-production, but I don't think that this is going to be an issue or whatever. No, they got a stat right off the rumor specs, or whatever specs that have already been provided, and that's it. They stick by it. Just like 700 frames per charge on the battery. Are you kidding me? Well, I wouldn't buy it either if it's a flagship camera. And I know that's the SEPA, but they never went back and said, people are shooting with it, and they have shot all day long on the same battery, and that never comes back out. They cherry pick what they want. All right, enough. I'm getting stupid. Yeah, I did see that he said at the end that he put his order in for one too. That's Matt Granger. Hey Bart, good to see you, buddy. You see Rissy. Yeah, the 1 to 400. Actually, I have it in the playlist here. I've got the 1 to 400. I've got the 24 to 120, and of course his camera review, which it should have been real easy for him after 3 months of all hands on. So some of the information he threw in there is could be considered more reliable than all the influencers. And Nikon ordered 2. So if somebody out there doesn't get one right away in Ireland, it's because Nikon got 2. No, buddy, I'm happy for you. I think it's great. Honestly, I think crazy. Haven't touched it, but if I had 2 Z9s, I don't know if I'd need any other camera. Other than there may be times when you need 3 angles and video and stuff like that. But I mean, to shoot all day, one lens on, telephoto on one camera and whatever on the other, 24 to 120, 24 to 70, 2.8. I don't know. 2 cameras would be nice. 2 of those. Some Nikon problems started. The rush to the market with the D750 and the D600, and people haven't forgotten. Yeah, you know what? Now, and I'm so tired of hearing about that. That comes up, and I think it's especially when Nikon succeeds, then they bring up all these things, and it becomes a point to discuss or harp on or whatever. Because Canon and Sony have never ever had a recall on a camera for anything ever. So good on them. Yeah, right. I mean, there are things that are found after the manufacturing process or whatever. Who knows? But yeah, they will jump on that in a heartbeat. And that started some of the negative press. Absolutely. No doubt about it. You think so, Nikon? I know we talked about that, and it's a shame because everything comes out of Nikon Europe for you guys, right? And are you saying that they push Ireland to the back of the queue? I'm not laughing at you, man. It's funny though that Nikon Europe. Yeah, let's see who we like this month. I haven't seen that yet. The new 400 2.8 with the teleconverter. I haven't seen that photo of it yet. Well, the whole concept of it's great. I mean, it's not like the first time it's been done, but 400 with a built-in converter that's built for that lens, man, I would expect that to be pretty sharp. I expect it to be a very nice lens. Well, anything with the Z mount so far has been fantastic. I don't know if they just upped their game or if that mount change makes that much difference, and maybe it is that allows them more flexibility in what they're doing with the lenses. So, hey, all good for us. So I was thinking about that. Nikon has had 2 mounts, mostly 2 mounts in the last over 100 years. That's pretty remarkable. Nikon Canada Z9. Let's see, I always get picked on. For the go to Nikon Canada and they got the photo. Okay. See how long it took me to figure that out. You know how long it took me to figure out the audio for the videos playing in the background. Yeah, that 2.8, that 400 2.8 is going to be out of my price range for a while. Man, I'm happy for everybody that will get it right away. And I'll be real happy when Nikon has all of the super telephoto primes out. Again, we shut that crap up. But then we'll hear about, well, how long did it just shut up? We got it now, okay? But we're going to hear about it. We're already hearing about it for everything else. Just look and see if I didn't catch one of the comments. All right. So, what do you guys have to say again? I mean, is there something out there that definitely need to check out as far as videos go? I couldn't possibly watch all of them. I actually searched YouTube for Nikon Z9. And I did use the filter to at least limit it to 1 week. and I don't know how many bazillion videos are already up. A lot of them are in other languages. I actually will watch those sometimes, especially if the thumbnail looks really exciting. I'll turn it on. All you get to do is watch what's going on. I mean, for me, I barely speak English, so but it is fun to watch. But I went through several of the videos. Been busy myself this weekend, but I went through several of them, and again, I did see things that I had hoped we'd see in the announcement, but obviously they couldn't cover everything in the announcement. And clarification on some of the things that even I was confused about, didn't know this or that. There's still something that I don't understand, but you know what? I don't understand a whole lot of things, and I still use it, do it, or whatever. But it's the the constant. It's in some of the chats as well. 120 frame per second refresh rate, and then I mean, in understanding the two pipes of information, feeding the autofocus and feeding the data moving to the uh, buffer. Is it 60 frames per second for one, 60 for the other, or is it 120? I don't know. I don't know. It really isn't important to me, but I'd like to understand it just so when people start yapping about it, for me, it's just like, well, here's what it does. Well, I don't know. I don't know how it does it. For a long time, I didn't know how an internal combustion engine worked, but I still knew to put gas in it and drive it. All right. Uh, yeah, Nathaniel. Yeah, I think that they built a great camera. And going back to, and I'm not going to, jump up and down and say that the first iteration of the Z6 or Z7 was over the moon. It was a great start point, though. Nikon jumped in both feet, and we got a good camera. The Z6 II, Z6 or Z7 II, obviously brought about a small incremental change. I think that was just to satisfy. Again, I go back to it was the harping on one camera or one card slot, and so let's get something out there quick, get that off the plate. I think that's where they were going with that, and just use whatever new technology they had that they could pump into the Z6 and the Z7, and just call it a Z6 II or Z7 II. The other possibility, or not possibility, is um, well, there is a possibility with the dual XP6 processors. I don't know if they did that on purpose, thinking that they could provide more firmware updates to the camera than they have, or if it was that was needed just to make the autofocus that was in camera at the time even better. More moving more information. But just like you know, on the Z9, you go back to that 120 frames per second, even if it is 11 megapixel, understand that there are two things going on there. One is to move the data for the image. The other is to continually keep that autofocus running. And like the guy said, you got to understand how many things are happening between every image. You got 130 images, and it's going through a full autofocus process before every image. It's just an unbelievable amount of data. So obviously the new processor XP7, I will agree. I think it was Jared that said, you know what, if you're going to really have a processor that just blows things out of the water, don't just continue the numbering system. Give it something special for everybody to know that's this is the new processor, not just a update to an existing processor. So I agree with him there. They should have named it something a little more striking, if you will. Okay. Let's see. End of the 2.8. No. Oh. I'm just looking down the list here, guys. Still waiting for a 300-2.8. I guess it has to get parts. Yeah. Yeah. F5. There are a lot of people in here that still have their film back cameras. So you have the DA52, Thomas. Yeah. That's an incredible camera. You know, that's a DSLR that will stand the test of time. And I mean, it's going to live on into the future. Even when they decide to discontinue it, that camera is still going to rock on. I'm buffering. Don't tell me that. I don't. Hang on a second. Yeah, I can. Maybe look. Okay, it's not me, buddy. It's not me. Yeah, anybody out there got parts handy? Nike is looking for some repair parts for a couple of his lenses and cameras, I think too, right? Let's see. Okay, man. I was going to say maybe my wife and all her friends are still standing outside there. Okay. All right. So, hey guys, I'm not going to stay in here a long time today. We can do some marathon live streams. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that's pretty incredible how long we can run. It seems. I'm going to try to grab this other video and just run it in the background for right now. So here, I found some other photographers, Nikon shooters, and that's been fun. And, you know, I've subscribed to a few of them because I like their content. They're not a talking head like I am right now. They actually show what they're doing with the camera, and I always like that. That's the reason I like Morton Helmer. You know, he's out using the camera. All right, what's going on here? Where's my? Here we go. Here we go.
It's entirely up to you. It's entirely up to your.
Thank you, Rizzy. Let me find him real quick. I'll run it in the background. He's doing some wildlife shooting in Africa, and he's from Kuwait. If you guys haven't seen Nikon Europe, I'm sure you have, but their launch video is really good too. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Nikon. I don't know if he has the best of relationship with Nikon Europe. Come on, where's it at? So I've got all the Rissy videos for the lenses, as I said. Yeah, we know that. Come on. Come on. Well. Here we go. All right. Come on. All right. Sorry about that. I'll play the audio a little bit lower on it, but you guys want me to turn it up, just let me know as we go along here. But let me switch real quick. Man, Steven! I don't have a Steven like Jared. I have to do it all myself. All right, so here we go. I'll run this.
From Kuwait. I have spent more than 15 years photographing wildlife. I don't know why I'm so attracted to wildlife, and I feel so happy when I am in the middle of the forests. We always say that the photographer is the one who makes the picture. It's a true statement, but let me add to you what I think of wildlife photography. When the photographer uses the right equipment, the success rate of this picture increases, and this prevents the loss of these rare moments, especially in wildlife photography. I need a camera body that can shoot under all weather conditions, from rain, dust, snow, or very low light. I tried the Z9 in Kenya Safari for 5 days, and it surprised me with its great performance compared to all previous versions, either mirrorless or SLRs. The main feature of this camera is the completely new 45 megapixel sensor. But when it's come to wildlife photography, my focus is on the completely new focus system, which allows the human eye tracking the eyes of animals and birds as well as cars, which is known as deep learning technology. I tried the new focus system on most of the existing animals, and its performance was very excellent even on birds, from the largest birds to the smallest birds. The speed of the focus response to animated subjects was very amazing. I was very happy that the camera can fix both eyes simultaneously. While the focus point was on the first eye, there is a gray focus point on the second eye, which gives the photographer a great feeling of confidence. If the eyes is absent, the camera can identify the head of the target professionally. The number of pictures can be set at 10 or 20 or 30 up to 120 pictures per second with different details. The back screen has been completely redesigned to fit the most horizontal and vertical positions. Video lovers will have many features like shooting in ProRes format without the use of external parts. I am very happy with this experience and these results and features that Nikon has put into this beautiful and powerful camera. Wildlife photography is on a day and the type of pictures, and I am so excited for the completely photography experience.
Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive in that you get to see some of his not just his photographs, but you get to see the camera focusing, the IAF. You know what? Looks like it works pretty well. If that's a pre-production, we can only expect that the actual production models are going to be tweaked a little bit more. So looking forward to it. And it was nice to see that, everybody was worried about birds in flight and things like that. And I think there is well, you saw the hawk video, not necessarily video, but the 120 frames per second with the hawk. But this guy's out there shooting other animals, and that was another question: does it only do cats? Does it only do dogs? No, I think animals the right term, and I think it's what Nikon wound up using. So it obviously will find something very close to the eye on animals, and I think it's cool. Yeah, use D4S or D5. Yeah. Mike, you trying to convince yourself that you just need to add the extra, grand and wind up with a Z9? I don't know what the going price is right now on eBay. I haven't looked in a long time for D4S or D5. Obviously, D6 is still going to be, they're still going to hold their price, but D4S and D5, yeah, I think those will become more accessible, used, and better prices as time goes on. Just maybe not right at the moment, because I think a lot of people are just waiting to see when they want to transition and then selling their D4, D5. Oh, excuse me. Man, here lately, heartburn. Oh, but yeah, it's been fun going through the videos and learning more about the camera. And as I've said, and everybody else, I'm sure feels the same way. Can't wait to get it in my hands and play with it. I don't know I'll have the same success with it that everybody else does, but I know I'm going to have a good time trying. So, the little brother of the Z9. Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that a few minutes ago. Yeah. Well, I guess one of the first places to learn about it's going to be over on Nikon Rumors, although it gets a little stressful at times in the forums. But I've said it before, I'll say it again. Peter's been on it, so Whenever he gets a rumbling about something out there in Nikon world for the uh, smaller body semi-pro or whatever we're going to call it camera, I'm sure he'll let us know. So again, I ask anybody have any other videos or things they've run across that have been extremely helpful in understanding the camera, or has it helped you to kind of defend the camera from people that are passing on erroneous or bad information? And most of them are doing it out of ignorance. Well, yeah, they're not doing it out of ignorance. I mean, it's purely just to try to run the camera down. But the more information we know, the better off we are, and the more we can share in the community and help each other out. And I think it's going to be good for us all. Okay, let's see. Oh, if you had 5,500 right now, yeah, I understand, Mike. I understand. And the only reason I do is one, I sold my D5, and two, I've been saving for a while since March, trying to put together the money to. I knew I wanted the Z9. Well, I knew I wanted it at least up to the point of seeing it to make the actual decision. So far, I'm happy. I knew what you meant, Mike. If I knew how to do one of those polls on here, I'm just curious. I'd love to see how many people plan to buy it now. I know that there are a whole lot more than the naysayers expected, but I have a feeling that Nikon anticipated this because Nikon obviously knew the price point, and I'm certain that they set up production to meet that demand. When I say meet, I'm not talking in one fell swoop, but obviously to meet that demand. They made that mistake with the D800 way back when, and it just took forever to get that. D850 was pretty hard too, but I think they're on it here for the Z9. I think they're gonna help us out this time, and at least produce a few more cameras a little more quickly, at least until they run out of chips. Oh yeah, I had mentioned him, Briar. I didn't watch his whole videos. Actually, I didn't watch much of either one or two. I think he did two or three, but all I heard was, he talked to a guy that he knows. That's a lie. It's just that is a bold-faced lie, and I'll take that bet any day of the week. He didn't talk to anybody that touched that camera, because I'm thinking that anybody that had the opportunity to use that camera would not associate with him. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that anybody that was given the opportunity to play with a pre-production Z9, I don't think they follow the angry photographer. So anyway, this is just my thoughts. The buffer maxes out at 35 frames per second. Test with the fastest CF card taken. See what I mean? I mean, he has no idea. He listened to somebody else. He listened to somebody else with the bogus information, and then he's just sitting there beside his screen with the fire on it, parroting what they said. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't watch it all. I just heard the part that I talked to a guy that has a he blah blah blah. No, you didn't. Why do you get on there and make a fool of yourself? Why do you do that? Just got a notification. The Ordinary Filmmaker is saying that the Canon EOS R1 shipping and release leaked. We all got to run over there and run it into the ground. No, I'm just kidding. That isn't the thing to do. Again, I'm sure it's going to be a great camera too. And then it's going to be my dog's bigger than your dog. All right. Well, guys, I need to jump out of here soon. Mama gave me a list of chores I need to do before they get back. I'm just kidding. I just got a couple of things that I do need to get done. But it's been enjoyable with everybody. I like everybody jumping in, participating, and drop a comment about something you found so I can go look at it. Because man, it's time consuming trying to go through all the videos. Canon getting worried. Yeah, Canon knew what Nikon was doing before I think we knew, and Nikon knows what Canon's doing before anybody else too. I mean, that's just the way it works. But they may shift production dates and drop more leaks, or try to move up shipping dates and things like that just to beat one another. I'll give you that. But yeah, Canon knew. They probably knew pretty much everything there was to know about the Z9, and I'll bet you that Nikon knows everything about the R1. If the R1 is real, I'm not saying it isn't, but I think the track record over on Canon Rumors is quite a bit lower than what Peter has over at Nikon Rumors. And that has nothing to do with a Nikon or Canon thing. That's just, you know, somebody's got a little better sources. And so, yeah, Mike, thank you very much. And I hope everybody has a great day or has had a great day in Nikon's day. He's not in day. He's heading into the nighttime. You got meetings tonight, Nikon? I hate that. I hate that for you, buddy. Yeah, anyway, just thought I'd try to share some of the information I found. I know you guys probably found a whole lot more, or you may have already seen these videos other than Rissy, because that just popped up right before I went live. But man, that's a treasure trove of information about the AF speed, not AF speed, I'm sorry, but frames per second and everything else, and understanding the card. So thank you again, Rissy. I doubt you'll see my video, but my live stream, but thank you very much. So hats off to all those that did a great job in reporting the Z9. And, I hope the people that just made statements like, oh, the angry photographer there that didn't make any sense and making stuff up, and poor Tony. I don't have a problem with Chelsea, but poor Tony. I mean, come on, man. If you're gonna make stuff up or drop some hate, it's got to be centered around a little bit of truth, and you just blew it, man. You blew it. All right, again, thanks everybody for coming by. You're welcome to continue leaving comments. So I always run back in here and check them every now and then, even though Jared says he never checks them. Well, and I understand if you got 500 comments, it may be a little difficult, but I'll check them for now. I enjoy it. I enjoy engaging with everybody. Hope you had a good time. And yeah, man, if you want to jump in our live streams, just drop or hit the subscription button. At least you'll get notified. Plan to make some videos, but got to get that camera here first. So, Nikon Air, Black CF Express cards seems to be the faster cards. Yeah, I think that's what he was saying. But the pro grade cobalt evidently is and maybe it's just as good, but that pro grade cobalt, they say, stays not cool to the touch, it's just warm. And anybody shooting with CF Express already and putting them in card readers, you know how hot that thing gets. At first I thought, man, there's something wrong with this, and had to ask about it, and found out that no, that's just one of the things with the CF Express. But those will come down, not tomorrow, but they'll come down. The price of those will come down too. It was just like XQD for us back with the D4 when it came out. They'll come down. I've got a ton of XQD cards. They're obviously not going to shoot at a sustained 20 frames per second, but at least I can put them in there to do a few things, just take some shots or whatever. Pro grade cobalt, yeah. I don't know who I saw it in one of the videos, or I can't remember Nikon, but somebody was talking about it's definitely a great card. Again, not just because of the speed, that's pretty much the same, I guess, as some of the other higher end cards, but just the fact that it stayed very cool when using it. So well, yeah, that could be an issue, couldn't it, in a camera? come to think of it. Now, we're already fighting trying to dissipate heat. At 8K60, that's definitely a big deal. So yeah, the cooler the card, the less opportunity for overheating. All right. Yeah, Angel Bird. I looked at those too, and then I'm glad that Rissy said something about them. Their speeds look good enough, but he was saying he wasn't getting the same performance, even though there's the rated speeds, the sustained write speed was high enough. So that's the big thing now. The key takeaway from not just him, but he explained it. Rissy explained it, but from others when they say fast cards is that key number 1400 megabits per second sustained. That's the key right there. All other numbers are irrelevant, but that 1400 megabits sustained is what you need if you want to use every ounce of performance the Z9 has. So, all right. For those of you that were just buying, didn't make a comment, thanks for stopping by. I know there were a few others that have been in and out, and join us when we do this. Everybody, I don't care what you shoot. If you're just somebody that's coming by that's in another brand, no problem. And I'm trying my best to get away from the old bragging rights because that's kind of killing the whole thing with the cameras, with the photography community. And, let's just have some fun anyway. So that said, yeah, that's what I was thinking about, Nikons, the heat. From the card itself, helping to heat the body of the camera, which then causes problems with overheating especially when shooting 8K or 4K 120 or something like that. So the cooler the card, the less interference there will be from heat in the body. So, yeah. All right. That's it. Thanks again. Stopping by. Please drop in again. Subscribe. So you get the notification because I'll always, I'm not going to say we won't do a spur of the moment live stream, but I'll always try to put up one of the schedules or a live stream scheduled placard or card. And we all get in here and chat. Maybe we'll get the Zoom meeting thing going here before too long. We'll just have a couple of people get in here and then everybody can make fun of us in the chat window. But thanks again for everybody coming by. Hope to see you at the next one. And to my plank holders over here, Nikon, Briar, Mike, Thomas, we have another that, I don't know, he hadn't been around a while, Woody, but, this isn't just for us. It's for anybody to join. Again, thank you. Hope to see you the next time. Have a wonderful rest of the day or night, whatever it is in your part of the world. Bye-bye.